Smartphones can make excellent bike computers, and with a well thought out setup, you can have one that rivals any dedicated bike computer. This is the phone I use. It's a LG. It cost me £26 new off eBay. One of the crucial things you want to look at when buying Androids on eBay is get one that's Bluetooth 4.0 compatible. I mean, most are now. I think after Android KitKat, they should pretty much all be Bluetooth 4.0. But just having that Bluetooth connectivity is really good, so you'll be able to connect easily with heart rate monitors, cadence sensors and power meters. I only use this phone as a bike computer, so it's not used as a phone or anything like that. So basically all the apps on there are only bike related. By keeping it quite clutter free of apps, you just save the memory, and it'll also really enhance the battery life by not being drained by loads of different apps going on. I'm probably only running like 1 or 2 apps at any one time on this phone. As well as the phone, you want a good method of mounting it onto the bike itself. I definitely recommend just one of these, just a Quadlock. They are quite expensive for what they are. I think this cost me about £26 posted from the internet, which is quite a lot considering it's just basically a small bit of plastic. But it's so sturdy, and it just makes the whole pleasure of using a phone as a bike computer that much easier. I've used different methods like mounting them up on handlebars with straps and stuff like that, but if you're going to be using it day in day out, the Quadlock's the way to go. Apart from, in terms of sensors, there's 2 that I use on most of my rides. One is just a Bluetooth heart rate monitor. It's about £14 off eBay, just a generic cheap one. It's really accurate. I've compared it with against heart rate monitors in gyms, and it's bang on. It's really accurate. And this is just a Wahoo Cadence sensor. Normally it's usually cable tied onto the back of the crank arms. I've just taken it off so you can get a better look at it. Cadence sensor is pretty handy. If you're in the market and you think you're going to eventually be upgrading to a power meter, I'd probably not bother with the cadence sensor and just go straight on for getting a power meter. In terms of apps on the phone, I keep it pretty much clutter free. These are the 4 main apps I use when I'm cycling. Obviously the first is Strava. The fitness one is basically the Wahoo fitness app. I found Strava doesn't really connect that well to the cadence sensor. When the screen timeout comes on, it often drops off. So I tend just to use the Wahoo fitness app now, as that connects really well to the heart rate monitor and the cadence sensor, and I don't get any dropouts at all. In terms of navigation, obviously got Google Maps on there. My primary way of navigating is the OSMAnd app. It's a free app. You can pay for it. I'm not really too sure what the benefits of paying for it are, because I've always just used the free one and it's been totally fine. But you can just upload GPX files to your phone, and it's got a voice navigation feature, so it's really handy. So you can have the screen turned off and just be listening to the voice commands, so to tell you when to left and right and roundabout, stuff like that. There's a few other apps I just like to keep at the bottom. One is just a memo pad. Obviously if I'm out cycling for long periods of time, sometimes you get ideas and stuff pop into your head and you just want to make a quick note of them, so I've got the memo there. Camera's really useful. You've got Gmail just as an app on the home page, because I often use that just for transferring the GPX files. So I'll just email it to my Gmail account, download the GPX file, and I've got that straight on the OSMAnd. And GPS status is another really useful one. Really useful if you're mountain biking and doing a lot of off-road stuff, because you can basically pinpoint your location on there and text it to someone. I've had to use that once when I was doing a long bike ride along a canal in the UK, and I needed rescuing due to a mechanical failure. I didn't really know where I was, so I just used that GPS status to send my grid location, and then someone was able to come and pick me up. In terms of benefit over a Garmin, I'd say there are a few. Obviously, as a phone, it's got a camera built into it, so in the instance you were knocked off your bike, you've got obviously a video camera and a still camera, which is useful if you want to sort of take any evidence of the crash scene. On top of that, obviously a phone is a useful emergency phone device. It's up there on the bars. Obviously, in the case of an accident, there's a good chance a phone on your handlebars is going to get destroyed. So I carry my normal phone in my jersey pocket, but between the two of them, if you were knocked off the bike, there's a good chance one of them will survive. Whereas if you've just got one phone and it's in your jersey pocket, if you come off the bike awkward and you crush it, then you've got no phone at that point to call for help. So 2 phones obviously safer than 1. It's obviously cheaper, and in many ways it's more flexible. There's so many apps out there, especially for Android, that no matter what you're doing on the bike, there's probably an app that suits you. Whereas obviously with a Garmin, you're kind of limited to the software that Garmin offer. In terms of battery life, that's obviously a big thing that people quote about smartphones, but I've found just by having minimal apps actually on the phone itself, the battery life is really amazing. I've gone out for sort of 8-hour plus rides and using the phone as navigation and also recording on Strava at the same time, and it's come away from that with still about 30% charge left on it. So you can pretty much ride all day as long as you're careful with the screen. This is a good feature on Android. You can turn on is like double tapping the screen on and off. It's just an easier way to preserve the screen rather than sort of fiddling. Obviously I've got the tri-bars up on this bike and it makes it awkward to kind of get to the power on off / screen off button. But you've got the double tap, you can just double tap it on and double tap it off, and that way if you're just cautious with the screen life, I mean a smartphone will easily last a day's ride. In terms of other setup, I always run it in flight mode but with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned on. Wi-Fi is just on, so it makes getting a lock on satellites quicker because the phone can use a Wi-Fi connection to work out roughly where you are, and Bluetooth is just on obviously to connect to the Bluetooth sensors. Another one is having the screen brightness set to auto, so that way you're only really having a bright screen when it's needed, i.e. outdoors on a bright day. When you're riding at night, it will turn the screen right down to minimum, which is also useful because if you have a mega bright screen at night time, it's likely to dazzle you and you'll lose your night vision quite quickly, which is going to make cycling just a little bit more dangerous. Lastly, with battery preservation, I do have a power bank, but as I say, I've never had to use it. This is just a fairly cheap one off Amazon. But yeah, I've never needed to use it. I've done all day rides and never got to the situation where the battery was getting so low that it needed charging. But if I was doing an all day ride, I'd probably just whack this in my saddlebag. It's fairly small. It should fit in your saddlebag, if not it'll go in your jersey pocket dead easily. So that's my bike setup. I hope it's been of interest and I'll see you in the next video.